The time is just gone 8:15, and we are focusing now on Israel Apartheid Week 2024, this year's Israel Apartheid Week. And the question is, will this be the most important since Israel Apartheid Week was launched 20 years ago? And with the ongoing Nakba at its height, Israel is carrying out the world's first ever live stream genocide against 2.3 million Palestinians in Gaza, while it continues to entrench its 75-year-old settler colonial apartheid regime against all the indigenous Palestinians. Now, over the past few months, people around the world have carried out inspiring actions, building people power to end this state, corporate, and institutional complicity in Israel's Gaza genocide, and at the same time contributing to the Palestinian struggle for freedom, justice, and equality. Now, with the failure of the international system under the US and Western hegemony in full display, where to from here for the people of Palestine, and what does Israel Apartheid Week actually signify? We're going across to be joined now by none other than Young Hearts for Palestine out in Port Elizabeth, Nazley Limbada-Moodley. Nazley, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome.
Walaikum salam. Jazakallah for having me.
Yes, and we trust and hope you're going to have a wonderful Jummah. Jummah Mubarak to you as well.
Jummah Mubarak to you too.
Right, Nestle, let's talk about Israel Apartheid Week 2024. This is going to be crucial. This is going to be extremely important. And it's important sometimes to just to understand the background and the objectives. And perhaps you can start off by explaining what Israel Apartheid Week is and what it aims to achieve.
So let's first begin with the theme of Israeli Apartheid Week this year is March for Palestine, stop the genocide and end apartheid. The aim of Israeli Apartheid Week, or let's say month, because this year it's going to be month long. It began on the 1st of March and it's running till the end of the month. It began in Toronto with a group of students that wanted to educate other students about what's happening in Palestine. So that's where it all began. And what happens is different programs are run. One of the programs that were recently run in Port Elizabeth, GQ, was they built an Israeli apartheid wall, I guess you can say, and they had students and other activists come and write messages of support on the wall, draw pictures, infographics, and just put some information. And what that did was attract people that are unaware of the cause. You see this big poster or this big wall in the middle of campus, and people come over, they ask questions, and it just creates a dialogue, which I think is very important for the cause.
Absolutely. Now, obviously, we know that there are going to be many events and activities that are organized right across the entire world and during Israel Apartheid Week. What specific events or activities are organized, and how would they, Nestle, contribute to the overall goals?
All right, so some events that are being hosted is some of them are discussions where we have panels of Palestinian activists and they answer questions. They invite the public to come and we answer questions. So that creates a dialogue, very important. In some places, we have marches where we lobby our government to obviously support the Palestinian cause and also just bring more awareness in that way. Some people are choosing to go and stand in front of different monuments with their placards, ceasefire now, end Israeli apartheid, whatever slogans they choose to use. Those are some of the ones that I can think of that are running right now at the moment.
Yes, and also Nestle, 20 years into Israel Apartheid Week, so there is some history that has been built, and it's important to understand the historical impact, and also at the same time looking at this global conversation about Israel and Palestine.
It definitely is. And one thing that I can say is, I don't want to say a milestone, but I want to say that people are people are more aware. People are increasingly aware of the Palestinian struggle now. Before, I think, well, we can thank social media for its ability to broadcast a topic, although we have the Israeli government, backed by the Americans, who are trying to stop us from spreading the message and the reality of what's happening in Palestine. It's still getting through. So many people are now aware, especially young people. And even in the case where you're taught, in many of these cases, people have personally spoken to me here in Port Elizabeth and said, in my family, we don't speak about this. At school, we don't hear about this. But I'm learning about it through social media, and I'm here at this protest or this event today because of social media telling me about it, and I want to know more. And I think that's really important. That's the whole aim, educating people so that they can stand up and educate more people. That's what
Well,
we want.
interesting that you speak about social media because this is now the world's first ever live stream genocide. And social media has featured very, very prominently. But also at the same time, what we've noticed is in the last few months, people have become a lot more aware. They become a lot more better informed, educated, and using Israel Apartheid Week as an objective or one of its main objectives to educate people about the situation in Palestine, which to a large extent has been achieved, but there are also misunderstood aspects of these issues that need to be clarified, Nestle.
There are many misunderstood aspects in general of the Palestinian struggle, and one that Young Hearts for Palestine, as an organization, what we aim to do is to amplify the voices of the Palestinian people. So I don't think it's a good thing for us to say, oh, this is what we should do. This is what Palestinian people should do. Instead, we should listen to what the Palestinian people are telling us and go with what they say. And that's what Young Arts for Palestine. Our core is to tell the world and to spread the message of the Palestinian people, what they want in their land.
Yes. At the same time, Nestle, we're going to get those that are haters. We're going to have those that are going to make accusations of bias, misinformation, and these are critics of Israel Apartheid Week. And how does one actually address those issues?
That's an interesting question. So when I originally thought of that question, I was doing some research because I couldn't figure out why would one be against it. And then I came to the conclusion, and after reading a few articles, I realized that the only people that would be against it is Zionists. To be fair, the people that don't want the message to be spread. So their entire reasoning, as it always is that Israeli Apartheid Week is anti-Semitic. And I think that is I actually think it's a little bit crazy because in so if you stick to the rules of Israeli Apartheid Week, one of them is that we are not going to be we don't say anti-Jewish things. What we against Zionism, we're not against Judaism. There are many Jews that stand with Israeli Apartheid Week and who stand with the Palestinian struggle. And are these people saying that those Jews that stand with the Palestinian struggle are and against themselves? The argument is baseless, and I think it's just the only argument that they have, so they keep trying to push that narrative even if it's not successful.
Nestle, I'm sure that there are many success stories and also some of the most significant impacts resulting from Israel Apartheid Week. Perhaps you could share some of those?
I can think of two, and two of them being the case where well, like I said, our main aim is education. And in that case, I personally know of two people here in Port Elizabeth that, with the help of Israeli Apartheid Week, that has been running at Nelson Mandela University with the help of the coalition at university, they have educated people from different groups, and those people have now continued the struggle, joined the Palestinian organizations, and they are spreading the message amongst other groups. They actually go to churches and they spread the message at churches when allowed, because we have to get permission, and just within their different groups. And it's wonderful to see people that are generally, the Palestinian struggle is seen as a Muslim struggle, and although we know that isn't true, it's nice to see people of other faiths and other cultures spreading that message amongst their own. And I would say that's the biggest success, our message getting out there and infiltrating the rest of the world.
Nestle, I'm going to put you on hold. I need to go for a quick ad break. We'll be back.
Okay.
This is Salam Media.
You know, it's a wonder how kids get anything done these days. With all the distractions, when do they even get time to study? As a mother, all I can really do is make sure they have all they need to perform at their best. That's why I choose to include Sunfoil, triple refined pure sunflower oil with every meal I make. Naturally cholesterol free and approved by the Heart and Stroke Foundation as part of a balanced eating plan. So whether I'm cooking, frying, or baking, I know every dish will be a wholesome one. Sunfoil, now we're cooking.
With so many investment options today, it's only natural that you might feel a little confused which route to take. Should I buy shares or should I invest in gold bullion? Randery Jewelers now brings you the Zahab coin, an alternative to the Kruger Rand. The Zahab coin, a solid wealth protector in its purest form of 24-karat gold, is the safest way to protect your wealth. So don't just sit there and watch your paper money depreciate. Change to gold. Call Randery Jewelers now at 031 202 4701 or visit www.rjcoin.co.za, situated at 151 Essenwood Road, Musgrave, Durban. Randery Jewelers, the family name you can trust.
After the recent attacks on Gaza, many families have been displaced, with their homes left destroyed. Through your donations, our teams are on the ground in Gaza, providing support and delivering necessary aid to families affected. The people of Gaza need your help. Give hope. Donate today to Penny Appeal South Africa. www.pennyappeal.org.za 031 1100 573.
Are here on the ground with many appeal organizations in Gaza.
Discover the Africa of your dreams and surround yourself with her spectacular beauty. Relax beneath her serene sunsets and explore wildlife at its natural best. It's where the pride of Africa comes together. The Kwantu Private Game Reserve. Get to know the Big Five or cruise on an elephant safari game drive. Interact with lion and tiger cubs and enjoy world-class halal cuisine while we pamper you during your 5-star stay. Indulge in the true African experience. For reservations, call now on 042 203 1400 or visit kwantu.co.za. The Kwantu Private Game Reserve, the place of gathering.
Listen to something fresh. Listen to Salam Media, your humanitarian broadcaster.
Well, we continue with the broadcast this morning, taking a look at Israel Apartheid Week. And we are talking with Nazley Limbada-Moodley, Young Hearts for Palestine. And I must say, in the Port Elizabeth area, tremendous work is being done by Young Hearts for Palestine at Salam Media, having attended a few events ourselves in collaboration with Young Hearts for Palestine. The Dr. Matt Gilbert campaign, Abir Zayad, was also around in South Africa where we visited Port Elizabeth. And this has been relentless. It's been non-stop. And it's amazing what young people are achieving in Port Elizabeth. Now, Nestle, as we continue, we want to talk about action. We want to talk about engagement. And we know there has been a lot of action on the ground, particularly in the last few months. But we need to continue. We need to maintain the momentum. And just to talk about some of the ways that people around the world can actually get involved when it comes to Israel Apartheid Week, especially if they are new to this issue. And I'm sure there are millions and millions across the entire world that are very, very new to this issue of Israel Apartheid Week.
So I would say one of the best ways to get involved or where to begin would be to first do some research. What is Israeli Apartheid Week? Look in your city what's happening, and you can find all that information on social media. If you aren't on social media, you can use Google. You can look at the BDS website. They explain everything, and then there's some links as well on where to get your posters made, ideas that they have if you'd like to organize your own event, and people to contact. So I'd say get involved with your local community, have a look at it, and see what's happening near you.
Exactly. And I think when one looks at social media has played a huge role until now. And again, looking at, it still has a major role to play in terms of both on social media and also some of the other online platforms in terms of spreading the message of Israel Apartheid Week. Because at the end of the day, it is about creating dialogue, it is about informing people, it is about educating people, and more importantly, constructive dialogue and action that is required so that we don't see the split or encourage any division on this matter.
That's definitely true. I think that we can do it in a respectful manner. Our dialogue should always be open and respectful. Understand that the struggle, like we said, is not just a Muslim struggle. So, you can speak to other people with respect for their religion and their background. Obviously, we are not going to agree on in any way that what's happening is okay, or we're not going to go down the religious route of Israel was made for the Jews. We're not going to go there, but we can still speak to people with respect without degrading or abusing them in any way.
Yes, and also looking at some of the criticism and the controversy surrounding Israel Apartheid Week, it has been criticized as being divisive, and it's important that we respond in an appropriate manner to these criticisms, and also the whole issue surrounding apartheid, the conversation about the term apartheid that is being used in this context, Nazley, and perhaps you can just explain why you believe it is appropriate and what it signifies for even your movement, like Young Hearts for Palestine.
Okay, well, let's begin and looking at the definition of apartheid. And the definition is a policy or system of segregation or discrimination on the grounds of race. Um, so, if we have a look at the Palestinian situation, it's very clear that it is based on race and, well, they try and say religion in that case. So, they're segregating the people because of that. So, I think that, and the rest of the world agrees because the UN has classified it as an apartheid state. So, the argument, I think, is proven incorrect. So it definitely is in an apartheid state, and therefore we can use the term Israeli Apartheid Week because we are bringing awareness to the apartheid that the Israelis have caused.
Yes, and we know that history and even the present will determine what the future is going to be looking like. And just to look at the future and the impact of Israel Apartheid Week, the movement in terms of how it would be evolving over a period of time, and also looking at some of the other issues, success, looking at the benchmarks for progress. What are some of your thoughts in that regard, Nestle?
Well, I think the benchmark for progress would depend on every group specifically. For Young Arts for Palestine, one of our benchmarks for success has been obviously the growth in the Port Elizabeth area. When we started off, it was just three of us. Now we're a team of four with about 70 active volunteers, and that obviously is growth. And then when we have our events, we've grown in the group of people that comes to these events. For us, it started off with a group of, it began with just Muslim people, and now it's a much wider community that join these events. They ask questions, which is something that we encourage, asking questions and taking part. And then another thing is that the events aren't always in person. And I think that is also growth, the fact that we can go onto social media and there is some sort of presence that, in the Port Elizabeth area, people know Young Hearts for Palestine. They know what we do, and they follow our Instagram page. They join our face-to-face sessions, our online sessions. They partake in activities that we do, which is often raising funds for Palestine. Um, our entire organization, all of our funds that we do raise goes to Palestine, and yeah, that's an important thing for us.
Nestle, I'd like to leave you with just some personal insights and just on a personal note in terms of the inspiration behind you getting involved in this cause, and perhaps even look at some of the most impactful experiences that you've had as being part of the movement.
I'm trying to think where it began. When I was younger, I remember going to protests with my parents. So I guess it started off there. And then during my schooling, obviously, we learned about apartheid, and there wasn't much. I went to an Islamic school, I went to Al Azhar, and there wasn't much focus on the situation in Palestine. I remember at some point we were doing history and there wasn't enough focus. And my teacher at the time, like, made us aware of what's happening in Palestine. She went a lot more into detail. And then that just led me to do my own research, and I went more into detail. And then at the end of high school, I realized there isn't actually enough done in the Port Elizabeth area. At the time, we didn't have any Palestinian organization that was active. So we decided to start Young Hearts for Palestine. And as I said, it was just three of us. And we brainstorm ideas. And this was in the middle of COVID. So it was a lot of restrictions. But we found ways to organize protests that followed the rules, would get our message across, and would get people to join in. I think in our first protest, it was a silent protest outside the city hall. We all stood spaced out, and we had our placards. And from then, we've grown so much. We have had opportunities with Salam Media and Africa for Palestine. We've been to bigger protests where in bigger cities. We've been to Durban and to Joburg. And at those protests, we saw how bigger protests are run. We took a lot of ideas from them, and we've learned how to organize marshals. We've worked on crowd control. So we get in there step by step, alhamdulillah. And I think being part of that makes you realize that your voice matters. You think, oh, I'm just one person. What difference is it going to make? But one person plus 500 other one persons makes a big difference in the end.
Well, certainly you've made a difference, and we've seen it firsthand. We've experienced it firsthand. Salam Media, in collaboration with Young Hearts for Palestine, in some of the events that we've been part of as well. So well done to you, Nazley, and also to all the people that are involved with you, and keep up the good work. And I'm sure this movement will raise to greater heights, and more importantly, work towards the freedom of the people of Palestine, their liberation as well. So we look forward to future engagements, inshallah. But for now, we thank you. We say shukran to you for your time with us this morning, right here on Salam Media. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Nazley Limbada-Moodley with us this morning, Young Hearts for Palestine, unpacking Israel Apartheid Week. With it, we're going to go for a break. We come back. We've got Hafiz Hassan Chunara standing by right out of Sri Lanka this morning.